Whether you're an enterprising kingpin of crime or a street-level Joe just trying to hold up a convenience store, it is important to realize that life presents all sorts of challenges. One of those such challenges is the sheer number of superheroes that seek to ruin your day. Boy, have we got a solution for you. Welcome to the Supervillain's Guide to Defeating Your Foes. We can give you the data and the know-how to bring your enemies to the ground. And today's do-gooding target is Jennifer Walters, better known as She-Hulk. She-Hulk has been a threat to your existence in Marvel Comics since she debuted in the Savage She-Hulk #1 in February of 1980, when tragedy struck Jennifer Walters. Walters was an extremely talented lawyer with a no-nonsense persona and extreme moral compass. She often fought for minorities and against large corporations, fighting the good fight. Long before she was a superhero. This, however, would bring her into conflict with many of our fellow shady individuals, and one day she'd be gunned down in the street by a fellow ne'er-do-welling mobster, seriously injuring her. However, she would be saved by the blood of her cousin, a guy you may know by name of Bruce Banner, who was a guide for another time. Bruce would give her a blood transfusion to replace her loss and save her life, but this would not come without its side effects. His gamma-irradiated blood would mutate her into the She-Hulk, but her manifestation would be quite different to her cousin's counterpart. Walters is not as strong as her cousin, but this does not mean she should be underestimated. Among many others, her feats include winning an arm wrestling match with Hercules that fell at the end of Thor: Love and Thunder, whose own feats would impress even Thor, ripping the Vision in half and taking down an exact duplicate clone of Thanos. An advantage she has over her cousin is the ability to, nearly always, retain her intelligence, personality, and emotions while in her hulked out form. She has learned to control her rage, and due to this, she actually often prefers staying in her Hulk form, as it provides her with confidence, while with being 6'7" and 650 pounds of pure muscle and all. Over the years, she has built up a reputation for justice, fighting in court for the little guy and sticking up for her friends, which includes such great heroes as Daredevil, fellow lawyer, and The Thing. She has fought on many teams, including the Defenders, the Fantastic Four, S.H.I.E.L.D., Heroes of Fire, and of course the Avengers. So She-Hulk is not to be underestimated as the female version of Hulk. She is a force in her own right and a host to a world of pain to those unprepared to face her. So here's your guide. Here is how to defeat She-Hulk. Now, as Sun Tzu once said, know your enemy and know yourself, and you will win 100 fights. But if you're ignorant of the enemy and ignorant of yourself, then you will be whooped. Basically, do your research. She-Hulk's body is very, very strong and impervious to damage. She can't be shot, stabbed, punched, kicked, or boomeranged if that's your fancy. So you gotta get creative, more creative than a boomerang. Throw out poisons and earth-based diseases and give up trying to burn or freeze her. She's immune to those too. But you know one very important thing? Like us humans and otherwise, she too needs oxygen. So here's my solution. As a supervillain, it should not be hard for you to get your hands on a nuclear bomb. Happens every other week in New York City. Just don't let the hero disarm it. They always seem to do that real easy, considering none of them are armament experts. This is vital to our first plan. So as I said, She-Hulk, like us, needs oxygen, and if she is deprived of it, she will die, like us. Just a lot less explodey, probably, because she is impenetrable and all. So, where can we deprive her of life's blackmail letter to our lungs? Well, one of three situations should do it. A. What shall we use the bomb for? It is outer space. If we can set the nuclear bomb underneath her, it won't kill her with the force, obviously, but it should launch her quite a large distance into the air, and hopefully out of the atmosphere. Now, to be honest, I ain't no smartest man in the world Reed Richards type, and so the math is beyond me, but it requires a lot of force, what a good-sized bomb should do. B. Secondly, another place is the ocean. If she chills underwater for too long, she could drown, theoretically. The only issue will be holding her down there. Now, if you happen to have some vibranium, like Cap's shield, or Uru, like Thor's hammer, or adamantium or carbonadium, or other magic metals on you, then we have a solution. Firstly, you want to fashion it into a real good cage, kind of like that one Loki used on Thor when he bamboozled him with his magic hologram thing way back in 2012. It sent him plummeting to the earth. The only reason it failed to seal the deal was that it was not sealed with one of the many immortal materials of the Marvel Universe, but immediately bulletproof glass. Seal that puppy up with vibranium, add a couple of holes to let the water flow in, and you got yourself a drowned rat, or She-Hulk, as it were. Last but not least, and probably the hardest variation of depriving her of oxygen, is sucking that oxygen right out of her, which is not as dirty as it sounds, I promise. You gotta push out the oxygen in her lungs and replace it with another gas her lungs cannot use to work her brain, preferably a poison one. Get her into a sealed room and suck all the gas out. She ain't got no oxygen, she ain't got no breath, and if she ain't got no life after 4 to 6 minutes, according to Google, every supervillain's best friend aside from me, of course. Now you may be saying, alright, big whoop, she needs air to breathe. Tell us a more practical way to kill She-Hulk that don't involve hyper-strong materials, nuclear bombs, and space. Alright, fair enough, G. Well, I do have a second solution. So in this universe, there are plenty of people who are pretty darn good at fighting. You got your Daredevil, your Shang-Chi, your Black Panther, and everyone's favorite Hydra Bob. She-Hulk is no exception to this. She's a highly trained martial artist who has had to compensate for her lack of strength compared to her bigger cousin, and she definitely has. So in a normal one-on-one fight, she would probably whoop you, regardless if you can kick so good that you make Batroc Leaper jealous, or whether you can be the ultimate mime like Taskmaster. She's probably better because of her strength. So you have to eliminate her good fighting ability. Then you'll just have to match her strength, or be better at fighting and not have to match her strength all that much. We're gonna go with this plan. So, how can we neutralize her ability to fight? Well, there are several methods. Firstly, you can use the many magical marvels of the universe to put her under some kind of spell. You got the Scarlet Witch, you got Kilgrave, Doctor Strange, and Eros. I'm sure one of those lovely mind-controlling people will be more than willing to help, if given a little incentive. For Eros, though, a vaguely attractive woman is usually enough incentive. That's the reason he was tried for sexual assault in the comics, initially defended by She-Hulk, ironically, before she would beat the snot out of him when she realized he sexually assaulted and manipulated her, too. Anyways, back on track. Basically, if you can manipulate her mind to put her in a stupor or defeat her mentally, you can then reduce her cognitive thinking significantly and just defeat her the traditional way. Just make sure whoever fights her knows how to fight a super strong person who ain't all that bright. Finally, if magical mind control is not enough or good enough, or you're unable to access it, being a street level criminal and all, then you have another, far more reckless solution. Get her angry. Now you see, along with being weaker than her cousin, when Walters gets angry, she does not increase strength exponentially. She only gets a bit stronger, mostly her being super angry only reduces her thinking, makes her be more stupid. Thus, she begins to just brute force everything, like her cousin, but without the actual increased force to back that up. So basically, get her angry enough and she will kind of forget how to fight, and will eventually develop the classic Hulk hand swiping techniques. This happened when she fought Captain Marvel as the latter was trying to kill all the Avengers as the ransom for an alien hostage taker. Yeah, heroes be weird sometimes. So a vaguely good martial artist with enhanced strength to be good enough. Think John Walker, someone under the effect of the super soldier serum or the heart-shaped herb from Wakanda. So yeah, make her stupid and then just punch her until she stops punching you. Yeah, it doesn't sound like the most complex plan, but she didn't come here for the plan. That would be the most complex. You came here to defeat She-Hulk, and there you go. That being said, these are not the only solutions to defeating a Hulk being, but I feel like I should say some of that for her cousin and a few other Hulklings. Thanks for listening to my guide, though. I hope it serves you well should the Jolly Green Giantess ever grace your doorstep with a butt whooping.